Hello, happy Saturday. Welcome to Land Tamer Stream, folks. Good to have you. We're going to be doing a review today of the new, I say new, it's relatively new, CCIE and CCDE Cisco Press Technologies Study Guide, Evolving Technologies Study Guide. And then we're going to talk about where I'm at on my own journey to obtain the CCIE routing and switching to pass the written exam and to obtain the CCIE number. So I hope you're having a good weekend, a good Saturday. It is day 337 of this vlog/stream, and I believe we have 25 days to go till the next exam. So let's talk about this Evolving Technologies Guide. Well, first of all, who am I to review this, right? I mean, I'm not a Cisco Press author. I do not have the CCIE. I've not obtained my CCIE. So take all this with a grain of salt. Also, I have taken 2 attempts at the CCIE CCIE routing and switching written exam. The first attempt, I actually did pretty good on the Evolving Technologies section. Decent score, pretty decent, passed most of the questions. And then the second attempt, which was the most recent attempt, I got a very low score on the Evolving Technologies section of the exam, which is 10%. Whether you are going for CCDE or any number of CCIE written exams, this is the one section that all of us have to study, right? So the other thing, who am I? Well, I have been studying for the written since February of this year. So I've been studying now for about 10 months, solid, like every day, studying for the written exam, routing and switching written exam, which includes the Evolving Technologies section. I have not been studying Evolving Technologies all of those days, but it has been a very important part of my study program, especially after the last exam result, which was in July. Again, I have not taken the 1.1 version of the Evolving Technology section of the exam, although I will be doing that soon here in less than a month. I have read Nic Russo's guide, the 1.0 Nic Russo's guide. I have looked through his changes in July, the modifications, which included the new material for 1.1. I've also watched all the INE, pretty much all the INE. They have a video series on passing the written, which includes material on Evolving Technologies. So that's where I'm coming from. I have to say I had really high hopes for this Evolving Technologies study guide coming out, which this is it, right? This is what the cover looks like. And of course it came out, I want to say late October. I could be wrong. But yeah, this is what we're talking about, CCIE and CCD, Evolving Technology Study Guide. I have a lot of respect for these folks. Like, I know who these people are. I've actually met one of them in person at Cisco Live and attended one of his sessions. And I have a lot of respect for them and their achievements in the community and in their careers, right? But I had a lot of anticipation for, especially due to my poor performance in the last exam attempt in the Evolving Technologies. I had high expectations for this book coming out and what it would bring to me, right? So my expectations were that it would cover, that it would cover a lot of the overall topics, like the generic topic discussion, and that it would also dive deeper to get to what I need, or I think I need, to be ready for the written exam. And I also expected to see some labs, I guess. Not like a workbook. I was definitely not expecting this to be a workbook, because I've read quite a bit of a number of the other Cisco Press study guides. For example, the CCIE routing and switching study guide, which is a big work. I mean, so it's not like I have never read through a Cisco Press study guide before. I kind of knew what to expect. There should be a certain level of detail, and there should be some good sort of knowledge testing in there. Like there were some really good tools, for example, in the CCIE routing and switching official study guide. There's a lot of content there designed to sort of test your knowledge and help you determine where you might need to go deeper, right? So that's what I was expecting from this. I was really excited for it. But here, there is a link down here. I'm going to post this link. This is the link in, you can buy it on Amazon. I'm sure there are probably other places you can buy it. I'm not sure, but this, there is no, as far as I know, there is no printed release. There's only a Kindle edition. So, as far as I know, that's the only way to get it off of Amazon. It is also available as part of your Safari Books Online subscription, which is how I obtained access to it to read it. There are three authors, as you may or may not know, for the Evolving Technologies section in the blueprint, which I have a copy of here in Microsoft Excel. Yeah, this Evolving Tech 1.1. As you may or may not know, there are three sections, right? Cloud infrastructure and operations, architectural, and, well, we'll just say cloud, network programmability, and Internet of Things. So there's one chapter on each section. And let me go back to my outline here so I can remember what I'm talking about. Put that over here. Yeah, so there's an introductory chapter, actually, and then there is a chapter on each section. So all in all, content-wise, there are three chapters in this book. They're not in the order that they appear there on the in the blueprint, but that doesn't matter, right? Yeah, and as I said, there is no way that I know of to obtain a written copy. I guess if you wanted to, I don't know if that violates the terms of Safari Books Online subscription or not. I guess you could print it if you really wanted to. But I don't imagine anyone that's probably watching this video would do that or want to do that. So here's a question. Should I buy or should I not buy? Well, I'll just tell you the pros and cons from my point of view. Again, take it all with a grain of salt. How much was it again? We'll go over that in a minute. Well, I will say that the content that is there is very well done. Like if you are learning about, say for example, that you have never studied, that you are just starting to study the blueprint for Evolving Technologies, let's say you're getting ready for CCDE written, right? And you hit the IoT chapter, it is a great introductory chapter. All three of them are excellent, very well written. There aren't, and sometimes I'll look through content that is for the purpose of studying or documentation, and I'll hit a paragraph and I'm like, huh? It's not often that you find people who are great engineers or architects or very technical people who are also good writers. So, I find you all have heard me rant about some of the Cisco documentation that is out there on the official Cisco.com documentation. You read a paragraph and like the threading and the thought processing that people are using when they're writing the content often just goes, or they'll weave in other threads that have nothing to do with, and it's not like I don't do a lot of reading. Like that's probably my favorite hobby. Like I've read War and Peace, History of the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, all 3 volumes. Like I've done a lot of reading, so I'd say I'm a pretty decent judge of content in terms of how well it is written for its audience. And I will say it is well-written content, for sure. I enjoyed reading the chapters, and it was easy to understand in that way. And the way I'm saying is that, in other words, the flow of content was very easy to follow. And I think it rounded off, the material in a good way. It does seem to cover all the major topic areas. So what I mean by that is, if you look at the blueprint, they did a good job throughout of adhering to trying to cover, all these different areas that are mentioned here, these sub areas, right? So, for example, under cloud, you've got two major sections here: compare and contrast public-private hybrid and multi-cloud design considerations, and describe cloud infrastructure and operations. So, in those terms, yes, like you could tell that the authors did a good job of being thoughtful about, what to write about, and to be ensure that they're covering in broad strokes all of these topics that are here in the exam. Like, I can't really think of any particular topic that is listed here that was not covered. They were all covered. So it does a good job of that. The cons, as I will say, is, well, first of all, it did not meet my very likely unrealistic expectations, right? And that is in terms of depth. And I'll mention that first, right? That's probably, I want to be fair. Like I said, I do highly respect these authors and the work that they've put together here. It is a good book, and I definitely recommend the book if you're studying for this exam, right? But when you talk about, if you look at what the book claims to do, right? And I'm not going to show, of course, all the. This is just introduction. You could probably read this much even before you buy it on Amazon. Like, they would give you a preview of this introduction, right? But the goal here, most obvious goal of this book, is to help you pass the written CCIE and CCDE exams. One key methodology is to help you discover the exam topics, to help you fully understand and remember those details, and to help you prove to yourself that you've retained your knowledge of these topics. This book does not try to help you pass by memorization, but helps you truly learn and understand the topics. Okay, I agree with that to an extent. However, having taken the exam twice already, and I actually, before doing this vlog, went back and looked at my notes. I have very detailed notes from my exams, like you're supposed to do. Pass or fail, immediately following an exam, you're always supposed to write down as much as you can remember, so as to help yourself study later, not to share with others or to be a cheater, right? But write down your impressions, write down. So I did that. I went back to my notes in both attempts, and I specifically looked at the questions or the information that was covered relating to evolving technologies. And again, this book covers, in my opinion, all the major bullet points listed there. And again, this is it's probably not the fault of I doubt it's a shortcoming of the authors and what they were asked to do here. But this book does not dig deep enough for what you will need to pass. I don't think the book claims that it will, of course, interpret that as you would, the paragraph I just read you. But let's say, I'll use this analogy, this is the only thing I can think of, is let's say that in order to pass this exam, this portion of your exam, that you have to dig 50 feet deep and 50 feet wide. This book goes 50 feet wide. But in my view, based on what I already know, having taken the exam, it's only going to take you, maybe 25. It's only going to take you halfway there. I mean, seriously, it did not. So there wasn't enough content, I think, is my biggest beef. So how does it compare? So take, for example, the Nic Russo's guide, which he provides free to the community. Actually, I felt motivated enough that there was good enough quality and I appreciated him making the effort on his own, that I actually contributed to. I didn't buy it; it's free, but I contributed toward it. I felt that the content was so good that I should give him money for it so as to make it still viable for him to do as something, for him to do for the community. And that was revised back in July for 1.1, like quickly. It does not go, now Nic Russo's book goes much deeper. I would say it goes like 35, 40 feet. Okay. And it's free. So with that in mind, this book looks very expensive to me. Again, and to be honest, I would not buy it outright. Because if you look at the price, and again, I don't know where this is coming from. By the way, this is Nic's link to his study guide out on the Cisco Learning Network. And I don't know if donations to it are still open or closed, but if it is, and you see a link to it, you'll find it's worth enough. You'll feel inclined to to donate to this book. So the digital list price is $119.99. Okay. This I do not understand. Like, there's already a free guide out there. I know that people at Cisco know about this guide. Granted, the Kindle price, well, I don't know what the digital list price. Maybe this is retail price. And let's say I wanted to pay that much. What would I get? Would I just get a Kindle edition? I don't know. But even the Kindle edition, which has come down, I think, a little bit, is $95.99. Where are they even getting that price? Like, that is not market price at all, I don't think. But people are going to buy it, and I really think it's a shame, to be honest, that with the guide that is already out there in the community, that they would publish this guide for effectively $96. That's a lot of money. For me, it is anyway. And yeah, I just don't see how that can be justified. Now, I get it. Yeah, books are not written for free. And the people who contributed this book are high-level people. I'm sure they are expensive, right? And I get it. I would not expect them to, I would expect them to ask to be paid very well to write and they did a great job on the material. And so that's why I'm saying I think this more goes to, I don't know who is making these decisions at Cisco about study guides. So whoever those folks are, I put more of the onus on them to provide a study guide for evolving technologies that goes to the appropriate depth that you need. Oh, sorry, folks. I was supposed to turn that off. So onus is on them to do a better job of it. This really, it went wide. It did not go deep enough. Now, if it went deeper, if it went to the 35, 40%, I absolutely would recommend, because that would be such a great help to better prepare you for the exam. But it doesn't do that. And again, I'm not putting the onus on the authors because I'm sure they were given a directive. I'm sure it was scrutinized. There's a designated editor as well. And obviously, they're not going to put the content in there that is on the exam. But the topics themselves, based on what I have already seen, it just did not go deep enough. And so that's why I do not recommend you to go out and spend $96 on this book. By no means. Download Nic's book for free. Or if you have a Safari book, SafariBooksOnline.com subscription, definitely go and read it. Even if you've already read Nic's guide, I would still recommend reading this because, it didn't take that long. That's the other thing, folks. Like the IoT chapter, I knocked out probably 2 hours, and that's me reading deliberately. Okay. The other chapters of the book, again, you could read this entire book cover to cover in a very short period of time. So that's another reason I would say, where are they even getting that $96? I have no idea. So if you have Safari Books Online, again, as just a review, go read it. It's not going to take you that long. It'll be a good review if you've already studied, and it may give you a few pointers, or it may go a little in depth on a few gems in there that could help you with the exam in terms of some of the topics it does go somewhat deep on. So that is my review, folks. I have to help. Let's see what else I have here. Yeah, so that's my review. That's the bottom line. I was going to cover some of these other areas, but I just got a text. I need to help out my wife with something. So that's going to do it, folks. I will be streaming tomorrow, and there's not a lot to cover on stream right now, not any labs or anything, because I'm just doing boson exam right now. And I'm doing all 500 questions in the current boson exam. And every one that I get wrong, I'm studying deep in those areas. And I got, I think 25 days. So tomorrow, probably around noon or so, we will be back here in the Land Tamper stream, and we'll be covering a little more in depth where I am on my written progress, 25 days in, as well as we'll be sharing maybe a quiz or two. So thanks for stopping by here at the Land Tamper stream and sending you good bits out there to everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your support. We shall see you tomorrow here in the Land Tamper stream.